They ain't ready for that mate. They so dumb. Man, whole ass approach me now. Catch the.
Everything just blew up between Charleston White and Young Thug, and the footage going viral has people talking. Things got way out of pocket with Charleston White straight up saying he's ready to get Thug locked up. Let's get into the viral moment everybody's talking about and what really went down. The night Miami got turned up. On Saturday, March 28, 2026, the city of Miami was hosting one of the more low-key hyped celebrity gatherings of the whole year. Drew Sky, the comedian and content creator who built a massive fanbase off his Coulda Been skits, was throwing what he called the Coulda Been Love reunion event. It pulled in a whole mix of celebrities, internet personalities, and heavy hitters from the hip-hop world all under one roof. People pulled up to vibe, to chop it up, to be seen. Nobody was expecting static. Nobody was expecting the type of footage that would have social media going absolutely crazy before the sun came up Sunday morning. But that is exactly what popped off. Charleston White was at the event. And look, if you know who Charleston White is, you already know what type of time it is when he walks into a room. Bro has a gift for finding smoke. Or maybe the smoke finds him. Either way, it never ends on a quiet note. He calls himself a comedian, a community activist, and what he proudly labels a snitcologist. A dude who has been on his grind for years, putting rappers on blast, exposing the hypocrisy he sees all through the culture, and pulling up to every major beef, every courtroom update, and every controversy that touches the streets with the same energy every single time. He has mocked Soulja Boy. He has called CPS on rappers. He has threatened to file charges on people while they were literally still standing right in front of him. This is his whole brand. This is the playbook he runs. It has made him one of the most polarizing and unpredictable figures in all of hip-hop, and 90% of the rap game cannot stand him for it. Young Thug was also in the building. And yo, for anybody who needs the quick catch-up on where Thug's head was at going into this night, he had only been out of the feds since October 31st, 2024. He did roughly 2 years locked up as part of the high-profile YSL RICO trial out of Atlanta, one of the most talked-about gang and racketeering cases to ever hit hip-hop. When the case finally wrapped, Thug signed a mixed no-contest plea deal that hit him with 15 years of probation and a backloaded 20-year sentence just sitting there ready to activate the second he slipped up. That last part is the whole story, fam. 20 years on ice, patient, waiting, one violation, one bad move, one messy night, and all of that comes crashing down on him hard. So, picture it. Dude is fresh out the feds on 15 years of probation at a party in Miami with his whole squad. And somehow he decides the move is to walk up on Charleston White. According to White and multiple reports circulating from that night, Young Thug and members of his entourage, his YSL goons, approached Charleston White backstage somewhere near the venue. White described it as Thug and his crew trying to rush him, pulling up as a whole group with a numbers advantage, betting that being surrounded by the squad would be enough to put White in his feelings and make him pipe down. White says it did not go their way. What came out of Thug's mouth, according to White, was not subtle at all. We step on a street threat that White clocked as a direct promise of violence. And then one of Thug's boys made the message even clearer. He was about to lose his life right there. One of Thug's associates allegedly reached for or clutched what White believed was a strap. Never fully drawing it, but making the gesture visible enough that everybody in the area understood what was being communicated. The words from the associate, "Don't lose your life in here." Charleston White's response. Homie pulled out mace. Not his hands, not his own heat. He pulled out a canister of mace, the same burl mace he has been calling undefeated for years, and stood his ground right there at the function while security dudes and CCU shirts scrambled around trying to de-escalate the whole situation before it went sideways.
Wait, and they tried to rush me. Them niggas tried to rush me, y'all. Guess what they did?
That mace has been White's trademark move since the Soulja Boy situation in 2022. It stopped Soulja and his crew cold back then. And according to White, it did its job once again at this event. Security contained the situation before it fully popped off. No arrests were made at the scene. No physical injuries were reported.
Jeffrey Williams, let me explain something to you. You on probation, right?
But yo, White was nowhere near done. Before most people even knew what had happened, Charleston White was already on his phone, camera up, posting to Instagram, speaking directly into the lens with a kind of cold, locked-in energy that makes people stop scrolling and watch the whole thing. In a widely shared clip posted that same night, White is seen at a distance from Thug and the crew, cataloging every detail of the confrontation out loud and laying out exactly what was about to happen next, step by step, like a man reading from a legal document he had already drafted in his head before he even got to the party.
You just approached me, threatening me. Your words was, we step on, okay?
He was not just trying to get the clip out there. He wanted the whole internet to understand the legal weight behind what had just gone down. He walked through it piece by piece. Who said what, who was where, what the specific words meant under the law, and why every element of this interaction was a genuine problem for a man already living under a plea deal that could send him away for decades.
You didn't say I, you made it plural. You said we So that's in cohorts. I mean a gang. You on probation.
Then White dropped a detail that most people watching the clip would have just blown past. He pointed out that this was not some regular club parking lot. This was not a standard event venue. The function was held on property under the jurisdiction of the Federal Aviation Administration, federal property. And that distinction is not just a flex. It matters for real. Making threats while a member of your entourage is allegedly clutching on federal property is not a local situation anymore. That is federal jurisdiction. And for a man already on 15 years of probation with a 20-year sentence waiting in the cut, federal involvement is the last thing in the world you want anywhere near your name.
Thug won't out, he ain't even been gone 2 months.
White mapped out a full action plan on camera for everybody to see. File charges with local police first thing Monday morning. Contact Thug's probation officer directly and hand-deliver video evidence showing Thug surrounded by individuals White was calling gang members, which under the specific terms of Thug's probation could all by itself trigger a violation hearing, seek a restraining order for his own protection, and put the federal authorities on notice given the property they were standing on when it all jumped off. He said he had photographs of every person Thug had with him that night. He said he had video. He was not talking for clout. He was building a case live on Instagram while the situation was still warm. That one line right there, my words, was do it. Gives you the whole vibe of who Charleston White is and exactly why certain people end up regretting the day they decided to press him. He is not a dude who goes home and lets things cool down. He is not going to shake it off and pretend the night did not happen. When you run up on him, he responds with documentation, with legal filings, with phone calls to probation officers, and with years' worth of patience all cashing out at the same time. By Sunday morning, the footage was everywhere. Instagram, X, YouTube, every hip-hop blog with a working Wi-Fi connection. Hot New Hip Hop had the story up almost immediately. The comment sections were going crazy. Was this real? Was it all cap? Was Charleston White genuinely in fear for his life? Or was this peak clout behavior? Could Thug actually catch a probation violation over a confrontation at a celebrity link-up? Was this clout chasing on a whole different level? Or was this the most dangerous night Thug had seen since his release? Thug's team released nothing. His lawyers said nothing. YSL posted nothing. And that silence, just like it always has been in this particular situation, said everything. This thing was just getting started. Years in the making, the history of this beef. Here's the thing about what went down in Miami that you absolutely have to understand before any of the rest of it makes sense. This did not come out of nowhere, fam. This was not two people bumping into each other at the wrong moment. Charleston White has been on young Thug's case for years, not months, years. And if you actually go back and peep what White was saying, long before any of this went down, before the trial, before the plea deal, before the audio leaks, before the release, something wild starts to happen. He starts sounding like a man who already knew how the whole movie was going to end before the opening credits even rolled. Rewind to May 2022. Young Thug was arrested as part of the YSL RICO case out of Atlanta, one of the most sweeping gang and racketeering indictments to ever touch the rap game. 28 people got swept up alongside him. The state of Georgia came in saying YSL, Young Stoner Life, was not just a record label. They argued it was a criminal street gang running under the Bloods umbrella with thugs sitting at the top of the whole operation. The charges were heavy. Murder, assault, drug trafficking, conspiracy. They used rap lyrics as evidence, a move that had the entire culture shook. And as the co-defendants started making their decisions, the whole thing started to crack down the middle. While most of hip-hop was standing in Thug's corner, or at least watching from the sideline with their arms folded, Charleston White was celebrating loudly publicly on camera. He called the arrests a win for the black community. And then he put a specific confident prediction on the record that Thug would snitch within 6 months. He said it like he already had the receipts locked in a safe somewhere. He was not guessing. He was not speculating. He was calling his shot.
What out of the audio, what shocked you the most though?
He went further than just the prediction though. He said you could already hear the desperation leaking through that the exterior was crumbling before the culture was willing to admit it. In a long run of interviews on CTV, the platform that hosted some of his most viral content before he eventually parted ways with them deep in 2025, White put in real work breaking down every development in the YSL case with the kind of detail you would normally get from a legal analyst, not some dude posting from his living room. He chopped up the co-defendants. He talked about the pressure the state could apply to people when the chips were really down. He called who was going to fold, and through all of it, he kept bringing it back to Thug like a hook in a hit record. The hip-hop world clowned him for it. They called him a hater, a rat apologist, a clout chaser, a bitter old dude with no business talking about people more successful than him. The culture's verdict was unanimous. Charleston White did not know anything. He was just loud and wrong and desperate for attention. Turns out not so much. As the YSL trial dragged through all of 2023 and into the back half of 2024, the case started showing exactly the kinds of cracks White had been describing from day one. Co-defendants were cutting deals. Testimonies were shifting. The image of a solid, unbothered YSL never folding started getting harder and harder to sell to anybody paying attention. And underneath all of that noise, something else was quietly building. Something White had been hinting at for months, dropping crumbs about sources in Atlanta law enforcement, suggesting he had inside information, framing his predictions in ways that made you wonder whether he genuinely had connects or was just extraordinarily good at reading the tea leaves of a situation everybody else was too close to see clearly. Then the audio dropped and the whole thing went nuclear. In August 2025, footage from what appeared to be a law enforcement interrogation involving Thug's associate Pee Wee Roscoe leaked to the internet. It went viral in hours. The content of the audio seemed to pull back the curtain on what was actually happening inside those interrogation rooms during the YSL investigation. Details that hit differently against the image several people had been projecting for the public. And Charleston White, who had been building up to this moment for 3 years straight, like a rapper saving his best verse for the final track, went absolutely crazy. His reaction content from that period became some of the most viewed material he has ever put out. In one particular interview, White reacted to the audio live, his face cycling through satisfaction and amusement, and something that looked a whole lot like 3 years of waiting finally paying off with interest. He did not take the win quietly. He went fully scorched earth and made it as personal as it gets.
None of it.
None of it.
Because I've been telling y'all.
His answer to that question was one of the most telling things he has said in any interview because it showed you exactly how long he had been sitting on this certainty, holding it like a card he knew he was going to play eventually.
Right now, say TCV is looking at all these old videos. I told y'all Young Thug would go tell it.
I've been in a moment that cut through all the noise and hit different Charleston White in the middle of reacting to years of vindication coming back to him all at once broke down on camera. He got emotional. Real tears. The dude who had been called every name in the book, snitch, troll, the worst thing for black people, a cancer to the culture, sat there in front of the lens and let all of that weight come out. He was not gloating. He was releasing something that had been building for a very long time. He talked about what it genuinely cost him to keep saying what he was saying when the entire culture told him to sit down and be quiet. He talked about having his address posted online by people with large platforms. He talked about death threats, about being banned from platforms and having his videos taken down, about celebrities with millions of followers spending time and energy calling for him to be silenced, wishing harm on him and his family, and about how every bit of it had been in response to him saying things that were now playing out on tape for the whole world to see. Then in September 2025, White claimed he had personally applied pressure that contributed to even more material going public, framing himself not as a reactor, but as someone actively driving the story. Whether you rock with that framing or not is almost irrelevant at this point. What nobody could take away from him was the track record. Years of specific predictions, years of naming names and calling shots, and now the receipts were on the table for everybody to examine.
The hip-hop industry is quiet. I'm not finna be quiet. I've been on you ass. Listen, I done got back focused.
But the thing that really had White's blood pressure up in the months leading directly into the Miami situation was the hypocrisy angle. And this one genuinely had legs because after Thug walked out of prison in October 2024, he came home talking reckless. He came home loud. He came home specifically and publicly taking shots at Guna, the co-defendant who took a plea deal early in the case and walked free. Thug was out here calling Guna a rat, calling him soft, painting him as someone who broke the code while setting himself up as the one who stood tall and held it down. And White had a very specific, very pointed response to all of that. Thug was out here calling another man a snitch while the audio of him allegedly doing the same thing was sitting in the universe waiting to surface.
You have no business bother me, nigga, but you got the right one, Jeffrey.
He was not cooling off after the audio dropped. He was not done when the trial ended. He was not going quiet after Thug's release. He just kept going. Every new development was more fuel. Every rant was landing on millions of feeds. And all of that energy, all those years of predictions and accusations and callouts and public declarations was fully loaded and present in that room at Drusky's event in Miami when Young Thug and his crew decided to pull up on Charleston White on March 28, 2026. This was not a random collision. This was years of compressed tension exploding the moment two people ended up in the same building. And now everybody was going to feel the fallout. What happens now? Alright, let's chop it up about what all of this actually means going forward. Because what happened in Miami is not just a fire clip and a trending topic. It carries real legal weight, real consequences, and it sits inside a much bigger story about who Charleston White really is, how he has always moved, and why even the people who cannot stand him have to lock in and pay attention when he decides to operate the way he did that night. Start with the legal situation, because this is where it gets genuinely serious for Thug. Young Thug is on 15 years of probation with a backloaded 20-year sentence that activates the moment he violates. That is the reality he is living inside right now. Any new criminal charges, any confirmed association with known gang members, any credible allegation involving weapons, threats, or behavior that contradicts his probation terms, any of that can potentially trigger a hearing that puts those 20 years back on the board. That is not a small amount of exposure. That is the kind of legal vulnerability that should have Thug treating every single decision between now and the end of his probation like a chess move with life or death stakes. There is no room for slip-ups. None. And White knows this better than pretty much anyone outside of Thug's legal team. He has been talking about it on camera since the moment Thug walked out of prison. He warned publicly and repeatedly that Thug was moving on ice so thin that one wrong night would shatter the whole thing. White's stated plan going into Monday morning, March 30th, 2026. File a formal police report and charges, contact Thug's probation officer, and deliver video evidence directly to her. Seek a personal protection restraining order and get the feds involved, citing the FAA property element of the confrontation. He repeated this plan across multiple videos in a row and sounded like a man who had been mentally rehearsing this exact scenario for years.
I want to remind Soulja Boy, you ain't got no op.
As of early March 30th, 2026, no official charges, arrests, or court filings had been publicly confirmed. The situation was still developing and White's Monday morning timeline had not yet hit. But even setting aside whatever happens in the court system, the video of Thug allegedly on probation in the middle of a confrontation on what White claims is federal property surrounded by individuals he is categorizing as gang members was already running wild on millions of timelines. That alone creates problems for Thug that go beyond just the legal paperwork. It puts his name in the ears of every law enforcement official connected to his case. It forces his probation officer to respond to what is being reported publicly. It makes every attorney who has been carefully managing his image since October 2024 grind their teeth. Atlanta rapper Roe, who has his own complicated history in the streets and his own lane of commentary on YSL, reacted publicly to the situation, indirectly warning Thug and cracking a dark joke about losing his troll target if White's legal moves actually landed. And that reaction right there tells you something important. The people who actually know street culture were not watching this as theater. Complex and hot new hip-hop both covered it as genuine potential legal drama with real probation implications. Not just another round of internet smoke between two dudes who like attention. And from Thug's camp, nothing. No statement, no denial, no counter-narrative. The same radio silence that Charleston White has been flagging and pointing to as receipts for years. Now, zoom out and look at the full picture because what happened in Miami is the latest chapter in a run that Charleston White has been on for years, and it is a remarkably consistent run. White has a documented track record of inserting himself into hip-hop drama, escalating fast through legal and public channels, and making sure confrontations have real-world consequences instead of just fading into the timeline. He does not let things die quietly on Instagram. He does not accept a handshake and move on. He files the reports. He makes the calls. He delivers the videos. He shows up at the next media opportunity, making sure the story stays alive and loud. He did it with Soulja Boy, pulling out Mace when Soulja allegedly pulled up on him with a crew from a Sprinter van, then detailing every second of it on DJ Academics' platform for the whole culture to hear.
Pull that mace out on him, and it was that barrel mace. That barrel mace is undefeated.
He did it with Finesse 2 times and Lil King calling CPS directly after watching a 10-year-old child in what he viewed as a dangerous exploitative environment, then defending every single step of it as the obligation of someone who actually works with youth for real.
Yeah, I did.
He's talking about I did.
Yeah, I did. What I saw in that video, the most recent video where I seen Lil King just got knocked out by another little boy they were making fight.
He did it with T.I., with Boozy Badazz, with Jay Prince and his son, with Lil Durk, with names stretching across Atlanta, Houston, and Chicago. He came out celebrating Lil Durk's arrest with the same energy he used when Thug got locked up. He weighed in on 50 Cent versus Big Meech, and 50 Cent publicly co-signed his take and used it to promote his own show, creating one of the most unexpected alliances in recent hip-hop culture. He dropped takes on the Drake-Kendrick situation. He has been everywhere all the time saying out loud what most people in the industry only whisper in the back of the section. And for every time the culture has called him a clown, a troll, a man desperately clinging to relevance off the coattails of more successful people, something keeps happening. He keeps being right, not about every single detail, but about the big picture, about where things were heading and what choices would lead to what consequences. He keeps landing close enough to the target that the people who wrote him off run out of explanations. He told the culture years before it happened that YSL was not as solid as it was being presented to the public. He said the trial was going to reveal things that would make the culture uncomfortable. He called Thug cracking before it ever became a topic of discussion. And now it is 2026. Thug is on the back end of a plea deal that has 20 years of prison attached to it. And he allegedly walked up on Charleston White at a party in Miami in front of cameras and witnesses and security in SCU shirts. White has always framed himself as a man who came to the internet as a genuine youth advocate. Someone who spent years doing real work in Texas legislation, speaking in juvenile facilities, training county probation departments, and building something that actually existed on paper before he ever had a following online. He brings it up to make one specific point that he is not a street dude performing activism. He is somebody who did the work before the cameras showed up. And whether you accept that framing or feel like it is a convenient narrative, what you absolutely cannot take from him is what happened in Miami that night. He showed up to a celebrity event. He was allegedly outnumbered by a whole squad. He did not freeze. He did not run. He pulled out the mace. He stood 10 toes down. And he started building his legal case before the night was even finished. Young Thug has got 20 years stashed in the background of his life right now. He has got 15 years of probation still ahead of him. He has a whole label and a legacy that took major damage through the Rate Show trial that he has been trying to rebuild since he touched down in October 2024. And now he has got Charleston White in Miami saying on federal property on camera that he is filing charges in the morning with photographs, video footage, and the direct line to his probation officer already dialed in and ready to go. He has been telling anybody who would listen for years, "I see you. I know what you did, and I am not going anywhere." Miami just confirmed he meant every single word of that. Like this video. Click on the card showing on your screen for more.